This conference will now be recorded.
Huh?
Yeah. Hey, hey,
So
how about that the last day that you got that recorded session in your system?
yeah, I didn't get it myself, but I got it sent.
Okay.
Like I wasn't able to download it,
Mm-hmm.
so
That is fine. Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, I was able to do this. I understand display
Okay.
flex and all
Mm-hmm.
that. Yeah, I can show my code.
Okay. I mean, okay. Tell me one thing that you're just following the code that whatever I have written, or you modified in your own way.
So what I do is first I try to do it without watching the video, and then
Mm-hmm.
whatever I'm missing, I would take note of that.
Okay.
Yeah, so I was able to
So I
do
mean,
most of it. The only thing I was
oh, you was
missing
able to
was,
do. Okay. Good. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Good thing that. Yeah. I mean, any difficulties that you faced, like uh,
um, for a long time this button was here, and then um, another issue was like this whole thing was in the middle. So later, after watching the video, I found out I had to do display flex on the
Yeah, I
contents,
mean that.
and
Yeah,
then
yeah. I mean, whatever you did, right, in the same way only you have to do. So straight away, do not watch that. The video session. Okay, so you
mhm.
do practice in your own way, and
Yeah,
during the class session, right? So when I'm telling the properties and all, okay. I mean, it's your call how you gonna make a note of all the points. Okay, so the job that you have to do is I mean, with one way, you have to listen and understand the subject, and the second way, so you have to focus on the properties, what I'm writing and how I'm writing. And the third
mhm.
thing is you have to make a note of it somewhere, like on paper or maybe in the mobile or maybe somewhere, whatever it is. Okay,
Mm,
at least you have to
okay,
remember that. It's very difficult to focus and listen and understand and make a note at the same time, right? So at least
yeah,
you should remember all the points what I'm telling. So
okay.
together. Once the class session is done, club everything together and put it in.
Mm,
You can. I mean, I'll give you one more suggestion. Okay. So once you
mm,
listen the entire session and all, right, you after the session itself, you can write every point, whatever you understand, whatever you followed during the session, right? Those points
mhm.
straight away. Make a note of them, in your notebook or somewhere. Okay, so that day to day, you can see that that improvement, like how you are really capturing the actual subject and source cases properties. Okay,
Mhm.
so then after you jump into that, making that layout, whatever we discussed, after that only later point of time only you can just watch that recorded session, so that at the same time you can correct your code, at the same time you can correct your notes as well.
Mm,
Okay,
okay.
fine. Yeah. Let me share my screen.
Mm,
Okay, so this is our page, right?
mm,
Okay, we have about.html. Let me open index.html here. Yeah, so this is our index, and when you see this, we have, yeah, and what is pending here. Uh, okay, this one we have to do, right?
mhm.
Okay, now you tell me, like, shall we focus on this or shall we focus on this footed one?
Uh, the top part.
This one?
Yeah.
Okay, fine. Okay, so now there is no content here, right? So what is the element that we have for it? This is order now. And make sure to write your code in a cleaner way. Let's see, if you see this, welcome area is the parent element, okay, and in the parent you have a three child elements, okay, one is h1 and second one is one div, and if you see another div, okay, and let us say, right, let's just say if you want to write something in order now, you can see that this is the parent for img and div element, and h4 and button is parent for this div. So how structure is this, the format of the code, okay? When you write in the same way, so that you immediately you'll get that, what is the child element and what is the parent element, immediate parent and parent, grandparent, or child, grandchild, siblings. Sika, what do you mean by sibling in this scenario? No, siblings we know, in like in human relation, right? What is the sibling here? If you see this div, right, and this order now div and this upgrade area div, these both are siblings only, because this welcome area is the parent one and these are the child, right? You're following that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we have a child here, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when you're talking about the siblings, like these two div is sibling to this div at the same time h1 as well.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because why I'm saying this, okay, this parent and the child, okay, there is a big concept, okay, I mean, which is very important than which is very important than making this box, okay, that I'll tell you today. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so the end point of, okay, we have a lot of elements as I told you. Okay, this is very important topic. Okay, try to
Mm-hmm.
understand, and wherever you feel like not comfortable, just you can stop me and ask questions. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so we have a lot of elements, right? And we are actually making elements. Making elements in the sense we are making elements as per our requirement. Let us say we have this user experience. Okay, let's say in any Adobe XD links or Figma links, any mockups. Okay, based on this use, I mean, this based on this user interface, we are building all the elements on that. Okay, and we are writing CSS properties. I mean, within the classes, or we are creating classes, we are creating element selectors, or we are creating ID selectors, whatever it is, and we are writing some CSS properties. And after all, we are linking that CSS file to HTML file, and we are adding that classes, whatever we are creating here, right? Whatever we are creating, the same way we are adding those classes to HTML elements, right? This
Mm-hmm.
far we understand so far.
Mm.
Clear? Any questions so far?
No question.
Okay, so if you observe in CSS, we're actually so far we have covered three selectors. Maybe I mean, going forward, when we are going deep dive into other subject, like HTML, CSS, we have HTML5 version, CSS3 version, and when it comes to JavaScript, so I'm now onwards I'm going to talk only technical terminology. I'm going to use that. Okay, so you
Mm.
have to follow same technical terminology. Okay,
Okay.
so we have covered three selectors so far. Okay, maybe you understand that whole concept, but when I ask you, like, what are the three selectors that you have covered, or no, if I ask you straight away, what are the three selectors that we have covered so far? Maybe I'm not sure. I don't think you will give a proper answer for this, but in reality, we have already covered three selectors.
Mm.
But if I ask you question like, what are the three selectors? Can you give me answer? No, you won't say
No.
anything, because
Yeah.
you are writing properties and you are writing classes and you are calling those classes in HTML, but you don't know that what is the technical terminology of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
selectors is one of the important topic in front end. I'm not specifying any language here, whether it is a HTML or whether it is CSS or it is a JavaScript. When you are building a front end and when you are talking about the web application, selector is one of the important topic. Okay, so first of all, what is meant by selector? Okay, the selector is a way of mechanism to select the element, nothing else. Okay,
Mm.
what does that selector do? Selector will select the element. Okay, then what is the use of it? When you select the element, what is the use of it? If you select the element, then only you can modify that element. You can manipulate that element. Just try to
Mm.
understand this point. Okay, let us say we have, okay, 1 second. When it come to this browser, okay, so now if you see the welcome is here, okay. When we are inspecting, we have H1 is here, right?
Mm-hmm.
We have a selector. What is the selector here? Class is the selector. If there is no class, right? If there is no
Mm.
class, you won't able to see all these properties. Now let us say instead of that welcome, I'm straight away changing here. I'm just removing this E.
Mm.
Now if you see, there is no proper class has been created in style.css, right? In style.css,
Mm-hmm.
we have a welcome only.
Yeah.
welcome. But if you see, E is missing. When there
Mm-hmm.
is a E is missing, though there is no selector to select this H1, so we can't apply anything.
Mm.
You're getting that?
Yeah.
So what is the selector here for H1 is class. Okay, let us say example. I'm not actually not interested to write class. Okay, I'm not really not interested to write class. Now I can see only H1 here, right? As I told you, I'm not interested to write class. Do you think still we can change the style of this welcome?
Uh, yeah.
How?
Mm. Mm. Well, we could
You're
do.
getting you're getting my question or not? First of all,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. Okay. Okay, so usually so far we understand that we can write add this class attribute to element and that whatever the value that we have, so we can create in CSS with before the prefix will be dot, and whatever the class name that we are giving after the dot we are calling straight away in HTML, and the required properties and values we are writing in CSS, right? So far we are doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Is it clear?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but now I don't want to write any class to it. What is the other option that we have?
You could
But
do
I
it
want to see
inside.
welcome in. I want to see that welcome in the same way how it was appear earlier
You could do it inside the code,
inside the code in the sense.
like in HTML. Like,
You mean to say that inline style?
yeah.
No. I mean, end of the day, I'm writing CSS properties, right? I don't
Yeah.
want to. Okay, I'm just now trying to clear that question in detail. Okay, let me ask in a
Mm.
different way at least. Okay, I don't want to write any inline style. I don't want to write class, but
Mm.
I want to see that H1 should be different, like how I was seeing previously, right? In the same way, I want to see
Mm-hmm.
that. What is the options that we have?
I don't know.
Okay, fine. Okay, now if you understand, now we have a welcome class here somewhere, right? Welcome. Yeah, this is the welcome, right? And what is
Mm-hmm.
the element that we were talking here? H1. Okay, now see if I write only h1 here and if I copy entire properties, do you think it is going to work?
Yes.
Yes, that means without writing a CSS, okay, let me remove this. Okay, where
Mm-hmm.
is the h1? Here only somewhere. I'm going to remove this class. Let me reload this. See, I removed that class and I didn't use any inline style,
Mm.
right? This is what I was asking you, right? I don't want to use inline style. I don't want to use class. And it is a
Mm.
pure H1 and still I can see the same style, whatever I want to see here, right? Then how it was possible? What I did here?
You just
I mean,
did it.
this is not this is not something a pretty new thing. We already used this method, right? We did for body. If you see this body, we did that, and we did divs. I mean, in the initial sessions, and we did H1s, H2s, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is element selector. Whenever an element is there, okay, so you have to define the element and whatever the properties that you want to write, you can write. You're getting my point?
Mm-hmm.
So this is class selector. When you are writing, when you are writing a class name, see if you, I mean, whenever I'm hovering on this, right, you can see on the top here in this area. Element can be anything. This is just a reference that they provided element. Okay, it can be anything. It can be h1, it can be a paragraph, it can be span, it can be div, anything. And class equal to welcome. This is how we have to write. So this is the class selector. Now when I over on this h1, you can see this is straight away for h1 element only.
Yeah.
Right. So
Mm-hmm.
wherever the places h1 I'm going to write in the HTML page. For all the H1s, these properties are going to apply by default.
Mm-hmm.
That we already verified, right? If you remember
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this we are going to call as a element selector. So what is the element selector is we have to write first element in CSS. Which element it is? You want to modify H1 element, you want to modify paragraph element, you want to modify body element, you want to modify div element, or you want to modify some other element. First write it straight away without any dot before. If you write something like this is not an element selector again. It is going to be a what selector? Come on.
Uh, Um, I, I forgot.
You don't know. You don't know.
No.
No, no, no. You just have to focus on it. That's not please.
Uh-huh.
I told you like many times in this session only. Whenever we write something prefix as a
Element.
dot, it is going to be a class selector. The same I use it
Mm-hmm.
here. Welcome is the class selector, right?
Uh-huh.
Now there is a difference here. If I put a dot with h1, I mean, do we really write any HTML element like this?
No.
No, right? That
Yeah.
means there is no there is no element as dot h1, right? You understand
Mm-hmm.
so far?
Yeah.
Okay, so if we want to write something h1 in a different way, like how we have written here, this is
Mm-hmm.
what now I have added a class, right?
Mm.
This is the class selector. Now, even though if I want to apply that, it becomes like this only,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So with the dot, it converts as class selector. If there is no dot, sorry, if there is no dot, now what is the selector?
I'll be
Element
just
selector because we have we have a h1 element in HTML language, right? We have h1 tag, right? You're getting that? Then I don't we don't need to write anything here. So how many of the H1s we are going to have here? For all the H1s, the same kind of properties will come.
Mm-hmm.
You're getting?
Yeah.
Yeah. So now the point is, okay. So we, I mean, before if you're not writing anything before, right? Let us
Mm-hmm.
say if I make like this, what is the meaning of it? Definitely there
It's
is no dot before it, right?
mm-hmm.
It
Yeah.
should consider as a element only. But do we have a psi as element in HTML like this?
No, we don't.
No, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So when we need a customized custom names, definitely we should go with dot. Then it
Mm-hmm.
becomes a class selector, so that I can apply this psi class to any of the HTML element.
Mm-hmm.
You getting that?
Yeah.
Okay, so far how many we have completed in this sessions particularly? We saw that element selector and
And
what is the next
class.
selector? Class
Class.
selector. And yeah, so other selector also we have the other day we discussed it, that is when you want to write, I mean, there is the other option that instead of using dot, so hash.
Class. Yeah.
You remember that we covered this.
Yes.
Okay, this
Yeah.
is what ID selector. And now just focus on this. Now you can see that element ID equal to psi.
Mm.
Okay, and I told you that what is the difference between class and ID, right? I mean class and ID selectors.
Mm-hmm.
Class can be multiple. Sorry, what? Yeah. You can
Why
ask
does
me.
this why does the selector specific change? Like when it's a hashtag, one is front. When it's a class, the one is in the middle, and um when it's element, it's one is at the end.
No, actually, I did not get your question. What you're trying to
Like
ask me?
you're hovering over it right now. It says selector
Hmm.
specificity. Why does the
Yes.
one
Oh,
keep
this one.
getting?
Okay. This one. Yeah, even this one actually, I'm not sure. It was showing recent times only. Earlier, it is not showing like that. Even I
Mm,
do need to check that why it is showing. I mean, definitely there must be. Okay, let us see. Definitely there must be a intense behind it, but how it is really calculating is even I'm not sure about it.
but I saw that
This much is
based
the
on type of
yeah. I mean, yeah, even I need to check because it was really not at all required. But yeah, I mean, you have asked a question that as even I'm not sure about it. Let me whenever I get a time, right? So I'll see that and I'll explain you. Okay.
okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. So what are the selectors that we have covered so far? Three, right? What are those?
It's element, class, and ID.
Yeah, element selector, class selector, ID selector. So most of the times we are going to use these three only. Okay,
Mm,
but that is not a 100% fact statement. In real time, we are going to use lot of them. Lot of them in the sense not like hundreds. Okay, it's in the count is maybe max 10 to 15 only. But
mm-hmm.
how really selectors are going to work and how we are going to do is that topic here. Okay, so why actually this? I mean, I don't want actually. I mean, I didn't prepare anything to start the selectors, but you have when I'm explaining this siblings and all, right? So then
Mm-hmm.
I realized that okay, so this is the time to explain the the importance of the selectors. So once you get to know the selectors, right, and yeah, it is
Mm-hmm.
very easy for you to handle that. Okay. And one more point that I want to tell here. Okay. When you see welcome and welcome, see, this is the class selector, right? Welcome class selector, right? And this is
Mm-hmm.
the element H1 element selector. When you see the properties are same, font size 50 pixels, font family is Arial, and font weight is normal, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now we may have another class selector. Let us say heading. Let's assume that heading class selector. Okay. I have a same kind of properties and values. There is no difference on it. Same thing. So in such a case, let us say if I have a 10 kind of classes, or maybe five classes which has same properties and values. So it is not a good practice to repeat the properties where everything is same. Font size 50 pixels, font family Arial, and font weight is normal. Where everything is same, it is the best practice to group all of them together instead of writing multiple times. Okay, so this is also one of the important point. So how we gonna handle this? If you see these three are same, right? Set of
Mm-hmm.
properties. I mean to say that these three are same here for H1, these three are same for welcome, and these three are same for heading also, right? In such a
Mm-hmm.
case, how we are going to handle this? Let us say in this well, after you write any selector, put it one comma, okay, and space H1, comma, space, dot, heading. When you are writing all of them, so you don't need any of these two, H1 and heading. This is called group CSS. So the properties what I'm writing here, it will be applicable wherever the H1 is there, and wherever the heading class is there, and wherever the welcome class is there. Okay, but the star mark that you have to remember is the property should be same. Let us say for H1 you don't want to Arial font, you have something else, then you have to create a separate class for it only.
Mm-hmm.
Remove here and put it somewhere with a different font of family property, or maybe different size, or maybe different font weight. Okay,
Mm.
you understand this?
But why is the dot header there? Heading there.
I mean, see that's what I'm saying. No, see this heading and H1 is not at all required. But what I'm trying to say here is, let us say if you have a in this kind of situation
Mm-hmm.
while you are working,
Oh.
okay,
Mm-hmm.
if you have this situation where the property and value both are same
Same. Mm.
same set, okay, even though if you
Okay.
have a one more property here, even though if for let's say example, what you are going to write, text decoration, okay,
Mm-hmm.
underline, then you don't need this text decoration for H1 and heading. In such a
Yeah.
case
No,
also you can write in, yeah.
no, I
You have
get
any
it.
question?
No,
Yeah.
I get
So
it.
in such a, yeah. So in such a case also, let us say if you see this H1 and heading, okay, for three of the properties are same, right?
Mm-hmm.
But this text decoration underline is additionally added later point of time. Now this text decoration underline is definitely, I mean to say that you have already H1 and heading here, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If you add a group, if you add in this group, definitely what you are going to do is you are going to remove them, right?
Uh-huh.
Right?
Yeah.
Now the question is, this text decoration underline you need only for welcome, not for H1 and heading, but rest of the properties you need.
Mm.
In such a case, how you gonna handle this?
Mm. Do you write something separately for it?
Yeah, I mean, if I write in the same way, again the same properties I'm repeating here, right?
Yeah.
Definitely we need, when we have a differentiation in this way, definitely we need something individual. But how we gonna handle this in a simple way? So what is the only difference we have? This one only, right?
Yeah.
For welcome only, we have a text decoration underline. For H1 and heading, we don't need any underline for it. Okay. So now let me copy this. Try to understand this. This is very important. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Just paste it, and just paste it. Instead of underline, make it none here, and none here. Still, you are not
Mm.
actually repeating your three set of properties.
Mm-hmm.
You are writing in one place where this for welcome H1 heading for all of them by default, all this going to be applied for sure.
Mm.
Right? For sure, this is
Yeah.
going to be applied. But later, what you are trying to do is for H1, you are making decoration none. For heading, you are making decoration none. This is the one way. And if you understand this, we can change in a different way also. Instead of writing this, right? What I'm going to do
Yeah.
is copy welcome. This is a simplest way and professional way. Now, if you
Mm.
see this, these three properties going to work for welcome, H1, and heading. On top of it, we are actually adding welcome again, and we need only text decoration for underline only for welcome only, right?
Yeah.
This is a more prominent way when we compare with the previous one, because now here these three properties will work in the same way for welcome class, H1, element selector, and this heading also. Additionally, we need a text decoration underline for only for welcome, then write it only for welcome. So in this case, there is no issue, nothing going to override, because whatever the properties that you are using here, you are not actually repeating here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and let us say font size is 50 pixels here, and again if you write a welcome, font size is 40. Now here is the scenario. So the welcome, you are writing font size, one of the property which you used above. So now it is going to work. I mean, it is going to display as a 40 pixels only, because you are writing after this. Whatever is loading at the end, those properties values only going to be override.
Mm.
Clear? Are you have
Yeah.
any question here?
No.
This
I
is
get it.
very important. As long as you know you play with them, then only you will get it.
Mm.
Okay.
Oh. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so uh, we covered like the basic selectors. These three are basic selector. What? Element selector, class selector, ID selector, right? And see
Yeah.
how we're actually grouping together the class selectors. I'm not actually specifying it. Element selector or ID selector or class selector, we are actually grouping selectors. It can be anything. It can be element, it can be classes, it can be id selector, anything. You can write n number of thing here. You can write n
Mm.
number of things. You can write some here also you can manage. And if you see
Mm.
here, if you see heading here is there and heading also here is there, and both are different, because this is id heading and this is the class heading.
Mm.
Both are not going to same. So if you when you see in a different heading class and a heading id, it is possible in real time,
Mm. How do you
but
put ID?
that's not the
How,
best practice.
mm.
Yeah, tell me.
How do you put ID in HTML? Like, how do I get that?
Yeah, I mean, see, if you see it here, the
Oh, okay.
same way how you are actually adding class for element, you are adding class, right? In the same way
Mm-hmm.
only you are going to add id.
Okay.
When there is no element, you don't need anything. Straight away we are targeting only element selector.
Mm.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
clear?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So now, so we don't need all of them. Let me remove this. And of course, we don't need any of this. And we have written somewhere H1, right? No. Okay, great then. Okay. Okay. We removed the class name, right? Somewhere, no, not H1. Yeah, welcome class. Okay. And in some of the CSS, you may see like the classes like this, right? Okay. H1. comma h2 comma h3 comma h4 comma h5 comma h6. When you write something like this, whatever the properties that you are writing, it is going to applicable for all the elements from h1 to h6.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, as I told you in one of the session, every browser has a different style to present the elements, right? Maybe you
Mm-hmm.
can simply write any of the properties like font weight. In general, heading is going to be like a bold, right? You can simply make it that font weight normal. So in the entire application, wherever this style.css is linked with HTML page, by default, if you write h1 to h6, any of the elements, it will come as a normal only, not a bold one. So in this
Mm.
scenario, what you are going to, I mean, what is the advantage for you wherever you are creating a custom classes, right? Like this welcome and all. In such a case, you don't need to mention like this font weight as normal because you are going to write welcome to h1 element only. For h1, I'm already returning that. No, I have already written for h1 to h6 by default. Font weight should be normal only.
Yeah.
So now you can optimize the code in this way because we never know. Let us say example 10 places in the index.html, 10 places you are going to use all these six elements, 10 places, right? And you don't want any bold heading. For 10, we have a different styles, let us say different classes. If you are not writing like this way, each and every class you have to mention font weight normal. Why? Because you are using a heading elements. By default, the behavior is itself is a bold, but you don't want a bold, right? That is a requirement. You're getting that?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay, I mean, Darshana, you're getting that, or it is like
Yeah.
I'm explaining very speed, or
No,
you
I
can stop
understand.
me.
I
Okay,
understand. Like,
so
if it's.
yeah, yeah. So now if I write and if I stop here, if I prevent here font weight normal for 10 classes, right? Definitely, if you look
Mhm.
at that, for 10 classes, I don't need to use a font weight. That means I don't need to write font weight repetitively. Repetitively, I don't
Mm-hmm.
need to write, right? So
Yeah.
only one place itself I can write. So in such way, the code is going to be reduced for sure,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
In this way, so obviously the code is reduced complete comparatively the way which I explained 10 places or 20 places we may need. One second.
Mm-hmm.
This is the biggest drama. Okay, so now maybe whatever a number of times I don't need to write this font weight. Yes, you're getting that right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it is really interesting. Right. One second, that's no.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. So I hope you understand this. Now, what I'm going to explain. So we just covered three of the selectors. That is element, class, and ID
Mm-hmm.
selector. So we have a more selectors that we can check one by one. You can also check from your side. You can check in Google 30 CSS selectors, and you'll get this first link.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and just click on this. And the 30 CSS selectors you must memorize. Link you will get, and you
Mm-hmm.
can check all of them. I'm sorry. I mean, we have covered four selectors, not three. We have used this
Oh,
as
yeah.
well. This
Star.
star also. Okay.
Yeah.
This is also comes what when you write a star, it applicable for all the elements, all the H1,
Mm-hmm.
sorry, all the HTML elements, right? So we covered four of them. So right, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now when it comes to this, see there are 30 here, and if I'm not wrong, we have covered five also. The hover we done already.
Yeah.
You know that this
I
is also a
remember that.
selector. Yeah, this
Mm.
is also selector. So we done so far five, which is part of this list only. Still, we need to
Mm.
focus on 25 only. Even though in 25 we don't need all of them seriously. Probably
Mm.
we may need 10 max 10 selectors only we need. Okay.
Okay.
So now
Mm-hmm.
you can understand that what exactly are the advantage of the selectors is to select the element first. What you will do if you select the element? I mean, what is the point to select the element first of all? If you select the element, then only you
Mm-hmm.
can apply a CSS property, then only you can modify that, then only you can do anything with that,
Yeah. But
right?
what is the
If you are, yeah, sorry,
what's
yeah,
the
go
benefit
ahead.
of like so there's ID, like
Hmm.
how is that different from class?
Yeah, I think this I already told you a couple of times, right? You know, what is the main difference between ID and class? Okay, maybe in a technical aspect, you can see here difference between ID and class in CSS. Should use a class, you need to use the same selector. Okay, selector. Okay, see the technical
Mm-hmm.
terminology. So that is the reason that I'm explaining the technical thing. Same selector more than once within a page or a site.
Mm.
While an ID is specific to a single element, classes can be assigned to multiple elements on a page or throughout the website. They are not unique. I think the other day I told you that class is something like your school uniform,
Mm.
where the ID is the role ID. That is unique. No
Okay.
other one should have your role ID, right? But
Yeah,
other
now I
one
know.
can yeah. Now you understand, right? Yeah.
Mm.
So we can use wherever it is required. The same class. Let us say I have a yeah this inner header. Let's say take this as an example. I can use this inner header wherever I required. Of course, based on the property, I mean, based on the property and values that I have used. It can be repetitive. Inner head can be repetitive. I can use a number of times. There is no restrictions on it. But if I create
Mm-hmm.
something with hash that is gonna be ID selector, I cannot use no multiple times. Why? Because
Mm.
ID is always gonna be a unique. But if you talk only CSS point of view, make sure to understand this is very important statement. Whatever I'm telling now. If you want
Mm.
to use ID multiple times, also you can use it only in terms of CSS styling. But when it comes to JavaScript, you cannot use the ID multiple times.
Mm.
Confusing? You feel any
No,
confusion on this? Yeah, okay.
no.
Because let us say, look, I'll give you a straight example to you. Okay. Not even we did not even cover the JavaScript, but I'll show you simple example so that you will get to know what exactly the difference and what is the value of the ID. Okay.
Okay.
Now H1, I'm going to create one ID heading. Okay.
Mhm.
As per my statement and as per Google says that we should not repeat that one more heading anywhere, right?
Mhm.
But what I'm going to do is I'm going to write same ID for P also, and let us see if we have that heading class. No, sorry, heading ID. No, right? So now what I'm going to do is here hash heading font size 20 pixels, color let us use green, font weight let us put 900, font family, okay, yeah, whatever it is, let us say if we have this font, it will come. Okay, now let us save this and check that index.html. Where is our h1s? Okay, those are in behind this because we have this is fixed now. That is the
Mhm.
reason. Okay, let me put these two in content, right?
Mhm.
Let me reload this. Content, we have h1. Okay, sorry, there is no text, right? Heading,
Mhm.
paragraph, right? You can see heading and paragraph, both of them.
Yeah.
As I told you, and even Google also suggests that they are not actually, I mean, ID is specific to a single element. So we should use only for a single element. We should not use for multiple elements. But when I see this, is it working in the same way? Like, I mean, heading ID I have applied for paragraph and H1 also, right? It is
Yeah.
working. It is not giving me any error, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. When it comes to CSS styles, yeah, I mean, as per the rules, it is wrong, but still it works. It won't give any error, even though if you use ID multiple, same ID multiple times. But when it comes to JavaScript, I'm going to write some script here. Don't worry about it.
Mhm.
We'll cover this everything. Get element by ID. See that. Now what I did that I want to get that element where it contain or where it consume heading ID. In such a case, I should get both of them, right? Because both
Mhm.
of them has a heading only.
Yeah.
So what I have written is like document dot, maybe these are the completely new to you, but still
Yeah.
just forget about this document. But if you see this, get element by ID. So what we are actually telling, get that element by ID. What is the ID name is? We are writing here heading.
Getting.
So
Yeah.
now I'm now what you say that what I'm trying to tell to browser is I need a elements where it contains that heading. You're getting my
Mm.
point?
Mm.
So when I'm asking that to browser, what browser is really giving to me? It is giving only one, H1 only. But it is
Mm.
not giving paragraph where it contains again heading as so. In
Yeah.
such a case, going to given it is going to create a problem because
Mm.
ID selects only one, any of them. So now if you just remove this H1 and you just reload this page and we can use the same thing. Now you can see P here
Mm.
because we removed already H1, right?
Mhm.
Clear?
Clear.
I hope you understand now. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Okay, let me remove these. Yeah, now we are good with it. Let's move these important things, CSS selectors. So we covered this star. What is the star? You can just, for each every select, you have some description for it. Okay.
Mhm.
So somewhere it will show. Order to mirror will use a strict to zero out the margins and batting. If you remember the same statement only I told you, while this is
Mm-hmm.
certainly fine for yes, I had advised you to never to use this in production code. It has too much weight on the browser and is unnecessary. So this is very important thing again when it comes to a browser because why it adds to too much weight on the browser? Why they are saying this? I have to understand this point.
Mm.
Okay, so what they are saying here is while this is certainly fine for a quick test, but if you want to check that, yeah, for a quick thing, even for development mode, it is fine. But I had advised you to never to use this in the production code. It has too much weight on the browser and is unnecessarily. Why they are saying that weight on a browser? That means because when you add a star, what is the meaning of the star? It selects for all the elements, right? So
Mm-hmm.
browser has a lot of weight, okay, because it has to read that it has to apply all these properties for all the elements. Now, how that HTML code is really loading behind the screens as a tree only.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, if you see this here, when you see that view source here, so everything will be going to load line by line, and it creates a tree form. So that also we can get in the internet. Um, what we call this HTML tree, HTML DOM tree. Let us see some images so that we'll get it some idea. Yeah. So if you see this, yeah, if you see this, this is
Mm-hmm.
how the element behind the screen I'm telling. Okay, this is how that structure is going to load. So it will load that first initially document, then HTML element. From after the HTML, it will divide that head and body as two elements. In head, we are going to write titles and some metadata and all, right? When it comes to
Mm-hmm.
head, and when it comes to body, we are going to write actual HTML elements. So as long as this is loading, right? So when it comes to this CSS, the browser has to apply this box sizing, margin zero, padding zero to all of them, right? So it browser
Mm-hmm.
has to find the element and browser has to apply, right? But
Yeah.
unfortunately, maybe unfortunately they're suggesting here. But the point is instead of making like this, right? I mean, there is no other alternative because as I told you, we don't know how actual elements are going to work in each and every different browser. As I told
Yeah.
you, I mean, we have also witnessed that how H1 has a default margin top and bottom,
Mm-hmm.
and we don't know how exactly the same, whether it is going to give same margin or paddings in the other browsers as well, we don't know. So
Yeah.
somewhere or other around, we have to restrict that. We have to reset it. So in my point of view, even though it browser takes not, I mean, it is even though it is taking load, but it is not really impact on the performance and loading. This is definitely necessary. Okay.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So,
And
so there's no other sort of
yeah,
thing.
there is no other alternative, no, because see, we have to write this box sizing. You remember that the other day we
Yeah.
added box sizing. So where it contains that padding, and I mean it includes the padding also into the width, right? So
Mm-hmm.
now while you are doing the responsive, how difficult it is to write box sizing border box for all the classes,
It's hard.
right? Yeah,
Yeah.
it's really right. Yeah. So
Yeah.
in such a case, we may need that. So we cannot avoid few of them.
Mm.
Okay, and this star we discussed. This is ID selector. That is also we discussed, and this is the class selector. This is also we discussed, and this is the element selector. This is also we selected. So when it is the element selector, we are going to write only elements. So straight away
Mm.
it is going to select the element. Once they select the element, whatever the properties that you have written, everything going to be work.
Okay.
Okay. Now, when it comes to this, if you see this x and comma y, we
Mm.
used to call this as a combinator selectors. I think somewhere or other around we have covered this. If I'm not wrong,
Yeah, we did do it some for heading.
not heading. Yeah. See, if you see this.
Yeah.
Search content we are writing and we have written that search content space 4. So we are targeting that H4 element, not all the H4 elements. Make sure to try to understand this point.
Yeah,
Even though
I
if you
get
are
that.
writing H4, yeah, even though we are writing H4, we are not actually targeting all the H4 elements, but where the search content class is a parent. Okay, in that parent element, how many times H4 is going to be visible, whether it is a one time or 100 times. Again, it is going to be work for all of them.
Okay.
Clear?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And fifth is that right? Six. This is something interesting. Okay, this is we used to call this as a adjacent selector. I mean, see, the point is when I'm mentioning their names, maybe it is required for for interview purpose, but in real time, you don't need all of them. Adjacent selector, combinator selector, all this is all not at all required.
Mm.
Okay, because you have an element where button is there, and in parent we have a search content, right? You can straight away
Mm-hmm.
write this combinator selector.
Mm.
Okay, yeah. So now when it comes to this adjacent selector, how it is going to really work for this? And if you see this is refers to as an adjacent selector. It will select only the element that is immediately preceded by the former element. In this case, only the first paragraph after each you will have a red text.
Mm.
Okay, so now if you remember why I have actually started selectors today, when I'm explaining the structure, formatting of the document, I've explained somewhere here when it comes to welcome area, okay, this is the parent element and h1 div, these are child elements, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then what is the difference between this div and this div? I told you, right? These are the siblings.
Yeah.
Now, now here is the thing. So order now you can write in this way or else you can write in another way as per this example. Okay, how you gonna write this? Upgrade area, copy. Yeah, here we have upgrade area. So we have divided like this, right? But
Mm-hmm.
how we gonna write this? Upgrade area plus P. Let us say if you write something like this, what exactly it is going to do? Let us say I have only one paragraph here. Let's assume that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm going to write something text here and let me save this as well. I'll just reload this page. Now when it comes to this text we have here, this is that welcome area. Yeah, this is welcome area, and if you see this is the entire area. I think instead of that we can put this order now. Maybe that is the best option. Or yeah, this is also fine, no issue. Okay, so now we have a welcome area, right? This is
Mm-hmm.
what we want to tell you, right? Now, what are the child elements we have here in the welcome area?
The what elements?
Child elements.
Oh,
This is let us consider this is the welcome area is the parent element, right?
it'll be heading
What are
one.
the child we have? H1 we have, and this
Div.
upgrade area div we have, order now div we have, and paragraph
Text.
also we have,
Mm.
right? So
Mm-hmm.
now what exactly it is going to do is, okay, now you need to do something for a paragraph. Let's assume this is how these are all the real time scenarios. What I'm explaining is the real time scenarios.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, sometimes you may not have a control on HTML elements. Try to understand this line particularly.
Mm.
Sometimes you may not have a control on HTML elements. Maybe you can ask me, Sai, like, how can you say that? Because everything I'm writing in HTML, everything I'm writing in HTML, then
Mm-hmm.
what is the point of that? I may not have. So the point is, when you are working in a larger applications and there is some scenarios, definitely you need to use a JavaScript, jQuery, or something called Angular, or whatever it is. In such a
Mm-hmm.
case, okay, you have to see, okay, some HTML elements in the inspect element area which you not written in actual HTML document. You're getting
Mm.
the point, or you want me to repeat?
Can you repeat?
Yeah. No, no, you have to actually ask me that. Okay,
Yeah.
straight away.
Mm.
Don't wait that until my call. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So what I'm trying to say here is, now first statement that I told you is, you may not have a control. Okay. So why I'm saying that? Because all the elements I only created in HTML document. When I created HTML document, I have entire control now, right? Now, if I don't want to any of this element, I can straight away remove them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because everything is in my control only, because this is my index.html, right? In a
Yeah.
simple term, right? I mean, there is no much brainstorm is not required here, because I have everything, and that means I have a control, 110% control I have for all the on all the elements, right?
Yeah.
Now, as I told you, you may not have a control. So you may not have a control means, maybe you are thinking that, I'm writing everything, the same thing only will be display here in the inspect element, but that is not actually 100% scenario in real time. So until you use only HTML and CSS, you won't feel anything bad. But when you are using some JavaScript, or jQuery plugins or sliders or any of these content, okay, that
Mm-hmm.
time you may see a different, some HTML code which is not part of your HTML document. So when you are using JavaScript or jQuery, HTML content is going to be generated, and you're gonna able to see them here. But if you see the actual code, you don't get that, because those HTML content and all is coming through the JavaScript. In such a scenario, definitely you may not have a control on them, right? Because you are not writing. That actual
Yeah.
HTML content is coming through the JavaScript. Because JavaScript
Mm.
has the capability to generate the content, to generate the HTML content. Okay,
Mm.
because if I see something like, so okay, I'll show you something like, even though we are not actually started this document dot create element, we have this function in JavaScript where we can create elements using with JavaScript. If I write something like, div here, right? So div is created here. Usually, how we used to create div? We used to go for, we used to go in HTML, and how we are creating divs in the same way, right? But if you see in
Yeah.
JavaScript, we are creating a div, and we can create divs, and we can push the divs into any of these elements straight away.
Mm.
Okay, so that scenario, then what is going to happen? That definitely it is not in your control. Somewhere it will come here. Now in this scenario, you cannot, where you do not have a control, you cannot apply a class for it. And
Yeah.
you need to check the element where exactly it is. You need to look at that. What is the nearest element, or what is the parent element? Let's assume that this P is something created by JavaScript. Let's assume that. Now you have a
Mm.
P. You do not have a control because it is created by JavaScript.
Mm.
Okay. Now you need to select it first, because you need to apply some styles to this paragraph element. What is the best way? As I told you, you do not have access for this p element. You do not have a control on this, so you cannot write inline styles. You cannot write a class selectors. You cannot write a ID selectors. The only option you have is you can write a element selector because p is there. But the problem with
Mm-hmm.
the element selector, it is going to apply all the p's, but you need only p, this p only.
Mm.
You are getting that?
Yeah. So
Yeah, this
you
is
would
very
do it
this
based.
is very important. Yeah, this is very important topic. Okay. Now you
Okay.
need to find out the solution. You need to find out the solution where exactly this P is located.
Mm.
Okay, now in simple way, I'm telling that. No, you can check what is the parent. First, these all div, this H1 are siblings to this P because they are staying
So
beside of this P only, right?
it would
Now,
be
what is the parent? Yeah,
div
yeah. What is the
welcome area.
parent? Welcome area. So
Mm.
we have a parent, and where
Mm.
P is, you have a child. Right.
Mm.
So
Mhm.
now what you can do is in simple terms, where is that welcome area we have? Yeah, we have a welcome area. Okay, not this. Welcome area, right? Here.
Mm.
Just P. So what you are doing is you are targeting paragraph which is in welcome area.
Mm. Yeah.
Right. So in some in sometimes, let us say you have a one more paragraph after this, which is again generated. Let us say like this. Test 2. Yeah, test 2. Now in welcome area, you have a two paragraphs,
Uh-huh.
right? Now
Mm-hmm.
you can solve this puzzle in your own way. You can think about it. Because I gave this link as well, right? 30 CSS
Yeah.
selectors. Now you can solve this. If you write welcome area space P, the property is gonna work for these two paragraphs, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But those two styles will be same, but I don't want that. I want
Mm.
should be different way and test 2 should be different way.
Mm.
Different way, I mean to say.
Okay.
Okay, you should just try to look into that. Okay, that is
Yeah.
gonna be task for tomorrow. I think we already done for 1 hour, right?
Mm-hmm.
If I explain more of them, you won't get it that. Okay, so the
Yeah.
point is you can create a p elements in your code. I'm fine with it, but make sure do not do not write any inline CSS for this p, and do not apply classes for this p. You
Okay.
want to handle this. For this
Mm.
p, I need a different style, and for this p, I need a different style. How you gonna
Mm.
handle it?
Okay. I'll look for that.
Yeah, you
Mm.
just look into that. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. You're good, right? Yeah.
Yeah.